Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in the previous session we have discussed about introduction and importance of atomic structure, or I can say structure of atom. So there I have discussed regarding how atom exists, or what are all the components of an atom, and regarding Dalton's atomic theory I considered postulates of the theory and even limitations of the theory. Okay, what is the limitation of Dalton's atomic theory? Yes, he made an assumption that is wrong assumption, that atom is the smallest among all the existing particles and atom is non-divisible in nature. But practically, by conducting various experiments like discharge tube experiments, artificial radioactivity and so on, scientists came to know that even smaller particles exist. In the sense, atom also made up of even smallest particles, they are called subatomic particles. Well, and three fundamental particles were discovered earlier. What are those? I said regarding three fundamental particles. What are those? Electrons, protons and neutrons. Okay, yes, so these are the three main fundamental particles discovered which are constitutes the atom. Yes, so these three fundamental particles are considered as a subatomic particles, right? So according to Dalton's theory, what he suggested, he thought atom is the smallest one and atom is non-divisible in nature. But scientists like J.J. Thomson, William Crook, Rutherford, Michael Faraday, they noticed even smaller particles exist, that is smaller than atoms. Therefore, they thought of atom is made up of even smaller particles, they are called subatomic particles. Okay. Well, in this session, we try to understand the discovery of these subatomic particles, how the discovery of subatomic particles is done. That is three main fundamental particles, electron, proton and neutrons. Well, in this session, we try to understand regarding discovery of electron. Okay, so whenever we come across the term electron, yes, we can easily recognize it is a negatively charged particle, right? So when we think of electron, yes, it is a negatively charged particle. Well, atom consists of a negatively charged particle called electron. So before going into the details of discovery of electron, we need to keep in mind a basic rules regarding charged particles. Okay, yes, what is the basic rule, or I can say thumb rule for charged particle? It is the like charges repel each other. So please remember, what is the thumb rule for charged particle? Like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. Right? What it mean? What it mean like charges? Like charges means having same charge. Means it may be positive, okay, like charges, or it may be negative. So carrying same charge. Like charged particles, what happens? They repel from one another. Positive particles, they repel from one another. Similarly, a negative particles, they repel from one another. So like charges repel each other, while unlike charges means a one species carrying positive charge and other species carrying negative charge, or vice versa. Then those represents the unlike charges. Unlike charges attract each other. Okay, so what is the thumb rule to be remembered for charged particles? Means like charges repel each other, while unlike charges attract each other. Right, is a thumb rule, basic thumb rule for charged particle. Well, whenever if we think of electron, what we say? Electrons are a negatively charged particles. Well, so if we consider discovery of electron, so the discovery actually begins in the year 1830. Okay, that too by Michael Faraday itself. So in the year 1830, Michael Faraday conducted, when he passed electricity, Okay, when he passed electricity through what? Through electrolytic solution. Electrolytic solution, or simply I can say salt solution. What he observed is a chemical reaction on the surface of electrodes. So Michael Faraday, he observed when he passed electric current through electrolytic solution, a chemical reaction occurs on the surface of an electrode. So he considered, yes, electricity and electric charge is passed through electrolytic solution, which in turn leads to a chemical reaction. So based on these observations, he proposed laws of electrolysis. Okay, so in the year 1830, he analyzed certain observations. When he passed electricity through electrolytic solution, he observed a chemical reaction going to take place on the surface of an electrode. Okay, and he proposed laws. Based on this observation, he proposed laws of electrolysis in the form of Faraday's laws of electrolysis. Later, in the year 1850, Michael Faraday, he studied the discharge of electricity. Okay, discharge of electricity in partially evacuated tubes known as cathode ray discharge tubes. Okay, he began the study of what? Study of discharge of electricity in what? In a partially evacuated tubes known as cathode ray discharge tubes, are commonly or simply called discharge tubes. A long cylindrical glass tube having two electrodes on the side and which are externally connected to the source of electricity, and is going to have a side arm. Okay, is going to have a side arm through which gas can be made to enter the tube, or it can be removed from the tube with the help of vacuum pump. Yes, the actual concept of the discovery of these subatomic particles begins with the Michael Faraday in the year 1850. So yes, what he is done? Michael Faraday, he started discussing on the concept called discharge of electricity. In what? In a partially evacuated tubes known as discharge tubes. Yes, what happens? Say when high electricity is passed, when electricity is passed through gas taken in a discharge tube. What he observed? The electrical discharge through gases is observed only at very low pressure and high voltage, which means when high electricity is passed through those electrodes, passed through the gas which is taken in a discharge tube, what he observed? There will be discharge of electricity, or you can say movement of electricity observed. The electric discharge through gases is observed only at low pressure and high voltages. The pressure of the different gases is adjusted with the help of vacuum pump. What they have done? The pressure of the different gases is adjusted through vacuum pump by their evacuation. So with the help of vacuum pump, which is connected to side arm of a discharge tube, what happened? They operated the pressure. So they noticed conduction of electricity. Yes, so in 1870, William Crook developed a first cathode ray tube to have a high vacuum inside. The study began by Michael Faraday, but in 1870, William Crook, he developed the first cathode ray discharge tube containing a high vacuum inside. Then he showed that William Crook actually practically proved that, or he showed that luminescence rays appearing within the tube carried energy and moved from cathode to anode. So William Crook, he conducted an experiment. He developed a discharge tube and he noticed a luminescence rays appearing within the tube, which carries energy, and they are moving from what? They are moving from cathode to anode. He just said some rays are, when we pass high electricity through gas in a discharge tube, some rays are Okay, coming from, they are moving from cathode to anode in a discharge tube, right? Yes, this concept. Okay, again, those rays contains negatively charged particles. Okay, is noticed, William Crookes noticed those rays are going to carry energy and they contain some negatively charged particles. So later in the year 1881, a scientist called Stoney, okay, Stoney coined the term electroleon. Those negatively charged particles are named as a electroleon. 10 years later, 10 years later, again Stoney renamed those electroleons as a electron. Okay, so actual study starts with 1830. In 1850, Michael Faraday he started discussing about discharge tube experimentations. In 1870, William Crookes conducted a discharge tube experiment and he noticed some luminescent rays are appearing within the tube. They are going to carry energy and they are negatively charged particles and they are moving from what? They are moving from cathode to anode. Further, in 1881, Stoney coined the term, those negatively charged particles are named as a electroleon, and 10 years later, means in 1891, he named them as a electron. Actually, how he gave the name electron means this electron is combination of two words, one is electric and ion, okay, together constitutes a new word called electron. The suffix on which is now used to designate other subatomic particles such as proton and neutron, whatever the suffix here, on, is the in turn derived from what? Is in turn derived from electron. Okay, yes. And further, in 1897, J.J. Thomson, okay, J.J. Thomson, he again conducted the discharge tube experiment. Okay, he studied thoroughly. Again, he also observed the rays which are coming from cathode to anode, and they are considered as a cathode rays. Okay, cathode rays. He further studied the ratio of charge to mass. Okay, measured the ratio of charge to mass of a electron. Therefore, okay, what is considered? So J.J. Thomson discovered the electron, but actually the discovery of electron starts with Michael Faraday's laws of electrolysis. So that conclusion for this journey or scientific journey ends at 1897 by J.J. Thomson. J.J. Thomson gave overall conclusion for the discovery of electron, and even he conducted the charge to mass ratio. He measured it. He conducted charge to mass ratio experiment and he measured the value. He measured value for charge to mass ratio of an electron. Therefore, we consider J.J. Thomson discovered the electron. Okay, yes. Now, if you consider, okay, experimental arrangement, say there is a long cylindrical glass tube of around, it's a long cylindrical glass tube and is going to contain a side arm. It is called a discharge tube, okay, discharge tube of about 1 meter length, and it has a side arm which is connected to what? Side arm is connected to vacuum pump, and there are two metal plates or metal sheets are act as a electrodes. So discharge tube, a long cylindrical glass tube of around 1 meter length, okay, and it has a side arm which is connected to vacuum pump, okay. Then further there are electrodes, two metal plates or metal sheets which are connected on either side of a discharge tube are called electrodes, and what are those? They are named as anode. They are named as anode and cathode. What is anode? The metal plate or metal sheet which is connected to what? Which is connected to positive terminal of a battery is called anode, okay, and what do you mean by cathode? It is a metal plate or a sheet which is connected to what? Which is connected to negative terminal of a battery is called a cathode. And what is the fourth component of the experimentation? It is the high voltage. How we are providing high voltage? With the help of source of electricity. Okay, with the help of source of electricity, we are going to provide high voltage. That is, we can use a battery also. Okay, so these are the components of a discharge tube experiment. Well, when we pass high electric voltage through gas taken in a discharge tube at reduced pressure. So with the help of vacuum pump, we are going to reduce the pressure. What happens? Some rays will be emitted. Some rays are emitted from cathode and they are moving towards what? They are moving towards anode. These rays are called cathode rays. Okay, yes. So if you consider a cathode ray tube is made up of glass containing two thin pieces of metal called electrodes sealed in it, and those electrodes are externally connected to source of electricity, right? So when sufficient high voltage is applied, when you pass sufficient high voltage around 10,000 to 20,000 volt of electricity or 10 to 30,000 volt of electricity. Okay, so generally we say when sufficient high voltage is applied across the electrodes, a current starts flowing through stream of particles moving in the tube from what? From negative electrode to positive electrode. Negative electrode means cathode, positive electrode means anode. So when you pass high electric voltage at reduced pressure, so a stream of particles they move from cathode to anode, or I can say negative electrode to positive electrodes. So if you consider the experimental arrangements, say here at very low pressure which is taken in a discharge tube, and there is a side arm which is connected to vacuum pump, and both the electrodes are externally connected to source of electricity. So when you pass high electric voltage, high electric current, or I can say voltage, high electric current at what? At a reduced pressure is very, very important. When you pass high electric voltage at reduced pressure, the rays emitted from cathode is the cathode. The rays emitted from cathode are called cathode rays. The rays emitted from cathode are called cathode rays. So these cathode rays travel okay through this gas, and what? How we can analyze the existence of these cathode rays means by using a perforated anode. Perforated anode means it is going to have small holes in the metal plate. Through these holes, okay, through these holes rays will be passed and they strike what? They strike a fluorescent material which is used in the discharge tube, zinc sulfide. Whenever radiation strike the fluorescent screen, okay, a teeny flashlight is observed, a bright flashlight is observed, which indicates that fluorescent material is stricken by what? Radiations which are coming from cathode. Okay, yes. So if we consider the flow of current from cathode to anode can be checked by making a hole in the anode and coating the tube behind the anode with the phosphorescent material, that is zinc sulfide. So you can, these rays after passing through anode strike the zinc sulfide screen, and what happens? As a result, a bright spot develops on the screen. The same principle involved in a television set also. Yes, we can analyze through this animation. So what is there? A discharge tube, okay, and we are going to use cathode, that is a metal plate connected to negative terminal of a battery, and anode which is connected to positive terminal of a battery. The side arm is connected to vacuum pump, and high voltage, that is source of electricity. A battery is used here. So when we pass high electric voltage through gas taken in a discharge tube, okay, at a reduced pressure with the help of vacuum pump, we can reduce the pressure. What happens? Say it's a perforated anode, it is perforated anode, and we are using a fluorescent screen behind. So when you pass high electric voltage through gas at reduced pressure, what happens? Cathode rays are generated and they are moving towards anode. Now these rays, some of the rays pass through the holes. Some of the rays, what happens? They pass through the holes of a anode and they strike what? They strike the fluorescent material, and which leads to formation of a bright spots on the fluorescent screen, which indicates the radiations, presence of radiations. Okay. Yes. Further, in the absence of electric or magnetic field, what happens? Okay, external, that is, if you think of what is the effect of external electric or magnetic field on these cathode rays, how they interact with the external electric or magnetic field. Well, in absence of electric or magnetic field, cathode rays, or I can say cathode ray particles, they travel in a straight line. So what is one of the characteristics? Cathode rays travel in a straight line. So it can be noticed in absence of electric or magnetic field. Yes, how we can practically prove these cathode rays are traveling in a straight line means by placing an object. Okay, by placing an object in the path of cathode rays. So whenever an object is placed in the path of cathode rays, it casts a sharp shadow. So when an object is placed, say any object, okay, when an object is placed in the path of cathode rays, it casts a sharp shadow. It indicates that they are traveling in a straight line. If you won't get the sharp shadow, then they are not moving in a straight line. Yes, when an object is placed in the path of cathode rays, it is going to cast a sharp shadow. Therefore, we concluded they are traveling in a straight line. And even in absence of electric or magnetic field, cathode rays or cathode ray particles, they travel in a straight line itself. Which means in presence of electric or magnetic field, what happens? So in presence of electric or magnetic field, okay, the behavior of cathode rays is similar to that of negatively charged particles called electron. What it means? Say, when you think of behavior of negatively charged particles, say negatively charged, and I will mention the terms anode and cathode. Anode, what it is? Anode is positively charged and cathode is negatively charged, right? So in presence of electric field means we have to think of terminals of source of electricity, anode and cathode. In presence of electric field, okay, in negatively charged particles, where it will go? It will go towards, we already know about behavior of charged particles, or I can say thumb rule for a charged particle. What it is? Like charges repel, unlike charges attract. Then what I can say here, if it is a negatively charged particle, where it will go? It will go towards anode, right? This is the behavior of negatively charged particles. So negatively charged particles, they move towards anode. And if you consider in presence of magnetic field means north pole, two poles will be present for a magnet, right? South pole, okay, north pole and south pole. What is the behavior of negatively charged particle means? Negatively charged particles, they move towards what? They move towards north pole in a magnetic field. It is a behavior of or characteristics of negatively charged particles. The same thing is observed in case of cathode rays. Okay, what is observed here? Say in presence of electric or magnetic field, the behavior of cathode rays is similar to that of what? That of negatively charged particles called electron. Alright, so these negatively charged particles in presence of electric field, they move towards anode. Similarly, cathode rays also move towards anode. In presence of magnetic field, negatively charged particles move towards north pole. Like cathode rays also move towards north pole of a magnetic field, which means what I can say, these cathode rays consist of negatively charged particles. They are later called electrons. Okay, yes, it can be better understood with the diagram. Well, if you analyze the first diagram here, say is a discharge tube. There will be two electrodes, cathode and anode, right? So cathode rays, say, is a cathode, anode, a perforated anode we are using here. So when you pass high electric voltage at reduced pressure, what happens? Cathode rays are formed. And what happens? The cathode rays travel from cathode to anode, and some of the rays pass through this hole also. They are traveling in a straight line. But in presence of electric field, so when we apply two electrodes, in the sense we are applying electric field here. In presence of electric field, what happened to its path? Says the path, straight line. So instead of moving straight line, what happened? They started bending towards what? They are bending towards a anode. Anode of what? Anode of external electric field. What it indicates? They must be, these cathode rays are going to carry negatively charged particles, therefore is bending towards anode. Okay, yes, is the one analysis. Similarly, what happens in presence of magnetic field also? Okay, north pole and south pole, the cathode rays they bend towards north pole of a magnetic field. So these two analysis indicates cathode rays consist of a negatively charged particles called electrons. Okay, well, then if you consider characteristics of cathode rays, yes, we can say it already. Cathode rays travel in a straight line. Second, cathode rays, okay, they going to carry negatively charged particles. What is the basis here? When we apply external electric field, they bend towards anode, and when we apply external magnetic field, they bend towards north pole of a magnetic field. So it is the characteristics of what? Negatively charged particles, that is electron. Right? Well, now further, if you consider electrons, they do not depend on the, that is nature of cathode rays does not depend on the material of electrode, type of electrodes taken, and nature of the gas present in the cathode rays too. So they do not depend upon the material of electrode taken. It means any metal can be used as a electrode. So irrespective of nature of metal, all the time what happens? Cathode rays consist of electrons itself. Therefore we say they do not depend upon the material of the electrode and the nature of the gas present in the cathode ray tube, which means we have various number of gases, right? Oxygen gas, nitrogen gas, hydrogen gas, okay, sulfur dioxide gas, carbon dioxide gas, etc. As like we have large number of gases, whatever the gas taken, whatever may be the gas taken in a discharge tube, every time cathode ray is made up of a negatively charged particles itself. Therefore we say the nature of cathode rays doesn't depend on the, it do not depend upon the material of electrode and nature of gas present in the cathode ray tube. Okay, yes. Next thing, the basic constituent of all atoms are the electrons. So based on this observation, what we can conclude here, the basic constituents of all atoms are the electrons, which means each and every atom consists of electrons as one of the fundamental particle. Okay, yes. And further, cathode rays are made up of particles. Cathode rays made up of what type of particle? Particularly material particle. Okay, material particle means here particles carrying energy. In material particle andre, the particles carrying energy are called material particles. So yes, cathode ray is made up of material particles. What is the basis for this? as they rotate a light frictionless paddle wheel. Okay, say yes, how they analyze this means, say when a rotating paddle wheel, light paddle wheel, or I can say right, frictionless rotating paddle wheel is placed in the path of cathode rays, what happens whenever cathode rays strike the paddle wheel, this paddle wheel rotates. Paddle wheel started rotating. Okay, it is possible only when radiations are made up of material particles. Okay, so when they placed a light frictionless rotating paddle wheel in the path of cathode rays, what happens whenever radiation strikes the paddle wheel rotates. Okay, which indicates that cathode rays consist of, or I can say, made up of material particles. Okay, well, then further if we consider, cathode rays come out as right angles to the surface of a cathode. So which means, say if it is the cathode, a metal plate which acts as a, which is like it is connected to negative terminal of a battery within a discharge tube. Okay, say it is a cathode. Okay, well, so cathode rays come out of the surface at what? At right angles, 90 degree, at right angles to the surface, right angles to the surface of a cathode. Okay, surface of a cathode, and the direction of emission does not depend on the position of anode. The direction of emission, it is the direction of emission. What is the direction of emission? Right angles. Okay, right angles to the surface of a cathode. It is the direction of emission. It does not depend on what? Position of anode. The direction of emission does not depend on the position of a anode. So anode may be kept anywhere. It may be kept out of the, say, it may be kept out of the, say, it may be kept on the any side, means it doesn't, the position of anode doesn't alter the direction of emission, or in turn what I can say, the direction of emission does not depend on the position of a anode. Okay, yes. Then further, these cathode rays are not formed in a evacuated discharge tube. Evacuated means in vacuum, in complete vacuum, cathode rays are not formed. So cathode rays are formed only in a partially evacuated, not completely evacuated, partially evacuated discharge tube, and cathode rays are not formed in evacuated discharge tube, or I can say in vacuum. Okay, well, further, cathode rays ionize the gases, indicating, or I can say providing that they are charged one. What happens whenever cathode rays strike the gaseous molecules? Ionization takes place. Therefore we say cathode rays ionize the gases, indicating they are going to carry charge, means they are charged one. Well, so these are the characteristics of a cathode rays. Well, so with this I am going to conclude about this session. Again in the next session we go for other concept. Thank you. Be safe.